Best was drowning her breakup at Eclipse, blowing up my phone for a ride home. When I reached the booth, she had her arms looped around my fiancé's neck, whining like a kitten. Jason, I've waited 7 years for you. Aren't you and Zoe tired of the game yet? The same man who once swore to give me a century-long wedding was now cradling my closest best, smiling down at her with molten fondness. Later, he threw enough money to buy every front page in the city and proposed to me on livestream. In front of the rolling cameras, I gave a cool little smile and lifted my right hand, the 10-carat diamond on my finger catching every flash. Sorry, Mr. Sterling, I'm tired of playing with you. I already married someone else. Under the club's lurid strobes, my flushed, drunk best was perched on a man's lap, pouting. When exactly are you dumping Zoe? That stuck-up, prudish bumpkin, what's so great about her that you've stayed 7 years? You've tasted better, right here with me. Jason, I don't really want to break up. I just need you to value me more. I'm sick of it. Every night I wait in that empty loft until past midnight, waiting for you to finish calming her down before you rush over. If I hadn't seen it myself, I never would have believed it. The man whose neck she was choking was the guy I'd dated for 7 years, the man I was about to marry, Jason. Lindsay's daily Instagram stories gushing about her perfect boyfriend. That boyfriend was mine. Yet for the 3 years Lindsay and I had been bests, Jason had constantly told me how much he despised her, how he couldn't stand that spoiled princess temper. He'd been hiding it all along, brainwashing me. They'd met 7 years ago, earlier than he and I, and the roots of their entanglement were set even before we got together. So all those nights he claimed he had to work late at the office, he'd actually been in their love nest with Lindsay, tangled in the sheets. When Lindsay became my best and raved in front of me about her boyfriend's sexual prowess, was she savoring the joke up close? Bolt after bolt of lightning cracked over me, merciless. The pain buckled my knees. I had to grab the back of a chair to stay upright. Sharing the booth were Jason's startup partners. They were too busy whooping at the lovebirds to notice me collapsing in the dim corner. Jason, with a gorgeous, loaded heiress like Lindsay in love with you, waiting 7 whole years, we're green with envy. If it weren't for Lindsay, our seed funding would never have sailed through. Dump Zoe already, stop breaking this angel's heart. Yeah, Zoe just does odd jobs at the company, no real help at all. Why keep a useless woman 7 years when you could have perfection? Each sentence was a scalpel, carving chunks out of my heart. All those pitches I joined, those banquets where I drank until I puked and kept drinking, the contract I camped in a client's lobby 2 months to land, the marketing playbook I finished in 3 sleepless days that landed me in the ER. In their eyes it was all just useless errand running. Now that Jason was CEO, I was no longer good enough for him. I couldn't tell whether what flooded me was fury or grief. I only felt my fingernails, clenched in my palms, trembling so hard they threatened to slice open my skin. I forced my phone up and dialed Jason. He loosened one arm from Lindsay, glanced at the screen, and killed the call without hesitation. Unwilling to accept it, I waited a few seconds, then rang Lindsay. Her syrupy voice poured through the speaker. Hey Zoe, are you at Eclipse yet? Jason hadn't expected Lindsay to summon me. His face tightened and his smugness slipped. Did he still have no plan to come clean? At the last second I changed my mind. The confrontation that had clawed its way up my throat dissolved. Into the phone I said simply, Lindsay, something came up. I can't pick you up. I watched her lace her arms tighter around Jason, cheeks puffing in fake hurt. You're my best, what could be more important than my broken heart? Zoe, I'm dying inside. Come hold my hand, please. She must have been desperate, planning to force Jason into a public either her or me showdown tonight. I didn't give her the chance. I hung up without a reply. The instant the call ended, Jason pushed Lindsay aside, phone in hand, and strode toward the exit. I followed at a distance. My screen lit up again, an incoming call from Jason. I tapped accept. His voice, soft and warm as always, flowed through. Sorry, Zoe. We were in a meeting, I couldn't pick up. Everything okay? You sounded urgent. Each tender Zoe stabbed straight into my tear ducts. I tipped my head back, gulping air, fighting the flood. Only when I was sure I wouldn't cry did I answer. Yeah, pretty urgent. Lindsay's heartbroken, drunk at Eclipse. I'm tied up, could you grab her? I closed my eyes. Jason and I had both crawled out of hellish childhoods. My father was a gambler who staked my mother to his loan sharks and shipped her to Myanmar when I was in grade school. When the neighbors caught on and called the cops, Dad vanished. I never saw either parent again. Jason's father was a drunk who beat his wife to death one night when Jason was in junior high. Life sentence, no parole. Sophomore year, the guidance counselor reshuffled classes, and our wrecked lives intersected for the first time. We became each other's life raft, the only family left, and together we limped through the dark into the same top-tier college. Until tonight I believed that even if the entire world turned on me, Jason never would. He wasn't just my lover, he was the shield at my back. Even after seeing, hearing, I still felt his cheating was as impossible as the moon falling. How had Lindsay slipped between us without a ripple? She said she'd waited 7 years. Had Jason known all along? When had they first crossed that line? The questions whirred in my skull, splitting it. 7 years of love had fused into my bloodstream. It was way past ordinary romance. A sliver of hopeless hope wriggled in. If right now Jason slammed the brakes, confessed he was at eclipse with Lindsay, admitted she was drunk and talking nonsense, swore he hadn't pushed her away only because she was sobbing. If he swore nothing happened, I would believe him. I could pretend I'd never set foot in eclipse tonight. But over the phone Jason answered in that unruffled tone of his. "All right, I'm leaving the office now to pick her up." I heard what sounded like glass shattering across the floor. Jason's continuing lie snapped the last thread of my sanity. The one person in the world I thought I could trust no longer existed. My tears broke through the dam I'd built and flooded out. After I hung up I drifted, dazed, stumbling into the middle of the street. At that moment I honestly wanted to die. I don't know how long I walked. When I looked up I was outside the loft I shared with Jason. I pushed the door open and the champagne gold decorations stabbed my eyes. I'd almost forgotten, tonight was the night I'd planned to propose to him. In the center of the living room hung the wedding gown I'd commissioned 6 months ago. I'd asked the seamstress to embroider our initials S.Y in gold thread along the hem. Before graduation, Jason had promised me more than once that he'd give me a grand wedding. He said I was the only woman he had ever loved. He swore he would do anything to protect me so I could live a happy life. From that day on I dreamed of wearing this gown and, surrounded by blessings, marrying the boy I'd loved since I was 17. But by the time we graduated, Jason was already starting his company. He said the early days were brutal and asked me to give him 1 more year. Now that year was up. The teenage vows had slipped through my fingers like sand. I'd clenched my fist so tight, yet never noticed when the last grain fell. I lifted the dress off the rack and threw it into the trash can. I scraped every dish I'd cooked all day onto it, one after another, until the white tulle disappeared under the filth. Just like our love, beautiful once, now ruined beyond saving. I took the scissors and popped every champagne gold balloon. The explosions echoed through the loft like gunshots. When my eyes landed on the banner that read, "Jason, will you marry Zoe?" my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I dragged the blade across the 2 names. Emery, severed forever. I cleaned for hours until the loft had returned to Jason's usual palette of cold grey and white, every trace of me erased. 7 years of loving, 1 year of living together. All of it now fit into one medium suitcase. I sat on the icy marble floor, back against the luggage, and exhaustion swallowed me. I must have dozed off, because suddenly I was back in the summer I met Jason. The heat that day was brutal. Sweat soaked our uniforms the moment we stepped onto the field. I couldn't afford a real bra, only the threadbare undershirt my mother had bought me in grade school. Once the uniform clung to my skin it turned see-through. While we ran laps I kept folding my arms across my chest. Because of that, a group of girls from another class grabbed my hair after school and dragged me toward the restroom. Slut. Running like that, trying to seduce Avery. I didn't know them, didn't even know who Avery was. I couldn't understand how I'd offended their leader. Everyone called her Lindsay. My scalp burned. I flailed like someone drowning, clutching at every passing student, begging for help. Nobody dared stop. At the restroom door I crashed to my knees and wrapped both arms around the last pair of shoes. "Please, get a teacher, help me." This wasn't the first time. I knew a teacher would only scold them and the beating would still happen, but at least it would be shorter. I looked up. The boy whose shoes I was clutching looked down. Noon light brushed his face and slid straight into my eyes, an anesthetic that made me forget the pain. Ex-con's kid, mind your own damn business. One of the girls recognized him and snarled. They yanked my hair, dragging me inside. He pulled his foot free. I thought he'd bolt like everyone else. He didn't. He stepped forward and kicked every last girl to the ground. His followers screamed. Jason, are you insane? Hit us and you're expelled, go share your dad's jail cell. A summer breeze lifted the tail of his shirt and the corner of his smirk. Fine by me. Let's see who gets thrown out first. Lindsay sat on the tiles, staring at him, her eyes shining not with anger, but fascination. I lay on the ground, watching his hair dance in the wind and the beads of sweat on his forehead, and I was lost. From that moment the name Jason was etched into my heart. Lock disengaged. The sound snapped me back to the present. 3 a.m, Jason was finally home. He didn't switch on the lights and didn't see me on the floor. When I stood up he jumped, startled. Zoe. Zoe. Why aren't you asleep? In the faint light leaking through the floor-to-ceiling windows I caught the guilt flashing across his face. This 24-year-old Jason, stammering my full name, no longer overlapped with the 17-year-old who had pulled me to my feet and asked my name. I said nothing. He pretended to be calm and rattled on. Your best was wasted and going crazy. I had to call a bunch of the guys from Sterling to Eclipse to hold her down, just dropped her off and left them there to watch her. I'm beat, gonna shower. Go to bed, Zoe, it's chilly. He spun toward the bathroom, so rushed he didn't notice the suitcase that held every trace of me. But I noticed the fresh red scratches blooming across the back of his collar. I clenched my teeth, opened my phone, and tapped Lindsay's Instagram. 1 minute ago she'd posted, "Only I can give you the best." Photo. A black lace bra crumpled beside a stiletto. I liked it. She answered instantly. Sleeping yet, Jordan? Guess what, my boyfriend and I are back together. She followed up with a neck selfie, scarlet love bites flashing like hazard lights. I just can't quit him. She couldn't quit my boyfriend, and she couldn't quit me, her favorite toy. Too bad I'd already decided to stop playing. Really? Congrats. But I just broke up with my boyfriend. What? How? Jason loves you most. Across the screen I could see her gloating, pretending to be shocked. My fingers flew. But I don't love him anymore, I got bored ages ago. He's all yours now. I didn't have the energy to keep playing fake best with Lindsay. After I hit send on my last message, I blocked her. I wheeled my suitcase out of Jason's apartment. At the doorway I hesitated. I turned back, slipped the ring off my middle finger, and set it on the shoe cabinet. The ring had been Jason's gift the year he graduated. That tender, post-sex night I'd curled up in his arms, so happy I was drifting off. In my drowsy haze I'd felt something cool slide onto my finger. Jason's gentle voice had followed. Zoe, with what I've earned so far, I can only give you this 1-carat diamond. But I promise, on the day I propose, I'll ask you with the biggest, brightest diamond you've ever seen. Zoe, I'll love only you for the rest of my life. I swear I'll give you the pampered life of a rich wife. Now I left both his promise and his ring behind. I walked away without looking back. I dragged the heavy suitcase along the streets at 4 a.m, no destination in mind. I'd had no family since elementary school. Now even my only lover was gone. I didn't know where home was anymore. After a long walk I found myself in front of a hotel. A hotel seemed the only option. As I stepped toward the entrance, someone came out and called my name. Zoe. I snapped out of my daze and saw Jason's sworn enemy Adrian. Since Jason started Sterling, Adrian's company had overshadowed him at every turn. Their businesses overlapped almost completely, but Adrian's products and PR were undeniably better. The client I'd begged for 2 months had originally planned to sign with Adrian. Only after I wore him down did he agree to a short trial contract. Adrian's gaze dropped to my suitcase. His calm tone carried a spark of hope. You and Jason broke up? Yeah. We're done. No point hiding it. I gave him the blunt truth. So you have nowhere to stay? The question slipped out before he could stop it. It's not safe for a woman alone in a hotel. Come stay with me. I frowned at him, then glanced at the hotel door behind him. Adrian realized how that sounded and hurried to explain. I'm not staying here, just dropped off clients after dinner. My sister and I live out in East Riverdale, big house, plenty of guest rooms. I'm at the office most of the time. Sydney's alone a lot and I worry. You'd be doing me a favor keeping her company. I weighed it. There really wasn't a better option. And looking after a kid. I could handle that. Ever since graduation I'd run Jason's life, cooking, cleaning, schedules, without a single complaint. I gave a small nod. A smile burst across Adrian's face. He caught himself and quickly straightened, offering a gentlemanly hand. My car's over there. Give me the suitcase. Maybe because I'd finally unpacked my heart, I slept like a stone in Adrian's guest room and didn't wake until noon. Rubbing my eyes, I stepped into the hallway and spotted the man who'd claimed he'd be too busy to come home. He wore an apron, humming off-key while he set plates on the dining table. Hard to believe this was the same IC CEO who'd steamrolled us in client pitch meetings. He turned, saw me, and grinned. Zoe, you're up. Hungry? Come eat. I glanced at the spread, 5 dishes, a soup, plus the cold breakfast he'd clearly made hours earlier. Looked like he'd been waiting since morning. Yet he'd been dropping clients off at 4 a.m. Had he even slept 3 hours? Embarrassed, I started to speak when a booming soprano rang out behind me. Holy crap, big bro, pigs flying? It's noon and you're cooking instead of at the office. I spun around and found the source, a 5'10" girl, taller and broader than me, biceps sculpted. This was the fragile little girl who supposedly needed my supervision. Sydney's eyes locked on my face and the words tumbled out. Zoe, sis. What are you doing in my house? I froze, confused. How did a girl I'd never met know me? Adrian coughed loudly. Ahum, I texted her you were staying. She probably forgot when she woke up. Bull, Sydney shot back. All I saw this morning was a 50 grand Venmo transfer and an order to take my friends on vacation, now. Caught red-handed, Adrian turned green. Sydney kept going, ready to spill more. Sis-in-law, you have no idea, my brother's had a crush since Ravenwood. Keep talking and I'll reverse that transfer right now. One sentence and she zipped it, switching to angelic mode. Oh, right. My bad. Bro told me just this morning you'd be here. Alex, I'm Sydney, stay as long as you want. Seriously. Their exchange left me bewildered. I could only nod politely. Over lunch Sydney stayed mostly quiet, just batting her eyes and shoveling meat while she watched us. I picked at my rice, appetite gone, mind elsewhere. Adrian noticed, concerned. Any plans this afternoon? I could take you to the amusement park, help you forget things. He clearly thought I was another kid sister needing a distraction from heartbreak. But I had unfinished business. I need to swing by the office, retrieve some important stuff. On my desk sat the jester plush my mom bought before she vanished, the only keepsake I had left. Plus all the marketing playbooks I'd busted my butt on for Jason. If they thought my work was worthless, fine. I was leaving, and I was taking every last bite with me. Adrian dropped me at Sterling's Tower. Only then did I power my phone back on. Dozens, hundreds of missed calls and WhatsApp pings crashed in, every single one from Jason. He must have woken, found my things gone, and panicked. I didn't read or listen to a word. I already knew every line would be another lie. Mind if I come up with you? Adrian shot me a look from the driver's seat, so anxious it was almost a plea. I exhaled. If Adrian walked in with me and the partners saw him, the mess would only multiply. Tonight I was here to grab one thing and vanish. Better not. I'll be right back. Just wait in the car. Okay, but call me the second anything happens. Inside, Jason was nowhere to be seen. Only a few partners camped on the sectional, gaming in formation. One of them glanced up. Zoe, you think this is your living room? Showing up this late. And where's our coffee? Back when I'd still cared about smoothing things over for Jason, I'd bought them coffee every single morning, even carried the cups to their desks. No wonder they'd tagged me the office errand girl. I'd done so many chores for them. So many they'd forgotten that the contracts and playbooks that kept the lights on were locked in my hard drive. You deaf, Zoe? I said, where's the coffee? Forget it, it's lunchtime. Hurry up and go buy us food. They kept barking orders. I didn't answer. I walked straight to my old desk. The spot where my jester plush used to sit was empty. Panic flared. I spun toward them and shouted, "Where's my jester doll? Who took it?" Their eyes stayed glued to their phones, not a single head lifted. Hilarious. Like any of us would touch that cheap toy. "Yeah, move it. We're starving. Quit stalling." My face was storm cloud black. "Listen up. I'm asking one more time, where the hell is my jester doll?" "Oh my god, chill. It's right here, Jordan." The syrupy, taunting voice came from behind me. So focused on retrieving what my mom had left me, I hadn't noticed Lindsay slip in. And right behind her trailed Jason, looking like he hadn't slept in days. The second he heard my name, Jason's exhaustion evaporated. He rushed over, reaching for my hand the way he always had. I jerked away on instinct. He was filthy. I didn't want him touching me. His hand closed on air, confusion flooding his eyes. "Zoe, it's not what you think. Lindsay and I was at Eclipse last night too." I cut off whatever lie he was concocting and tabled the evidence. "I saw her straddling your lap. I heard her say you two are better in bed, that she can please you in ways I never could." Jason looked like lightning had struck him square on the head. Disbelief, despair, and finally blank defeat flickered across his face. "Zoe, you're the only woman I've ever loved. I didn't betray you. If you'd just let me explain, this was all for you." I laughed until tears beaded at the corners of my eyes. "Come again. No betrayal, Jason, so as long as it's only physical it doesn't count. All for me. You mean for me you screwed my best and tucked her in afterward? Or for me you leveled up your bedroom skills so a dull, frumpy nobody like me could get a world-class demo?" Jason's skin turned corpse white, his mouth opened and closed, but no sound escaped. "Honestly, Zoe, after everything Jason's done for you, the least you could do is hear him out. You're the one who'll lose in the end, sweetie." Lindsay arched a brow and giggled. She flicked through her phone a moment, then thrust the screen toward me. I slapped it to the floor and seized her wrist. "Lindsay, give me back my jester doll. Now." I was done with these disgusting people. I didn't want explanations. I wanted what was mine. That ugly thing. I got bored and tossed it in the hallway trash cantilda. I released her wrist and bolted for the public bins outside. The moment I crossed the threshold I collided with a solid, warm chest. "Zoe, hey, are you okay? You were gone so long I had to check." Tears blurred my vision as I looked up into Adrian's face, so gentle it could melt stone. Every ounce of bottled-up hurt burst its dam. "Adrian, my doll's gone. The last thing my mom gave me and it's..." A squeal cut me off. "Avery, when did you get back? I didn't know you were in town." Adrian kept his arms around me, frowning toward the voice. Lindsay's smug mask had vanished. In its place was the bashful ingenue act she always trotted out for men. "Avery, don't you remember me? I'm Lindsay, your old Ravenwood groupie who chased you for months before I transferred." Ice dripped from Adrian's voice above my head. "Never met you. Not interested." He tightened his hold on me, tone softening instantly. "Zoe, where did your mom's thing land? We'll dig together." Out in the hallway trash cans. Without hesitation Adrian led me into the corridor, flipping lid after lid. Sweat dotted his forehead as he crouched, sifting through garbage, oblivious to the sour sludge soaking his white shirt. "Got it. Zoe, is this the one?" 7 trash cans in, the jester plush resurfaced cradled in his careful hands. I snatched it, scrubbing the stains with my sleeve, clutching it like a lifeline. Tears spilled again. Last night I'd walked away dry-eyed, now I couldn't stop crying. Maybe deep down I'd believed no one would care anymore, only the loved get to fall apart, right? Adrian laced his fingers through mine, ready to haul me out of that cesspool. I hesitated. My playbooks, they're still on Sterling's desktop. I poured weeks of all-nighters into those files. "Wait here." In he strode. Moments later he re-emerged hugging my entire hard tower, grinning. I almost fainted. "Put that back. They'll sue you for stealing company property." He only smirked, every inch the man who owned the building. "Relax. I bought it for 200 grand. If they try clawing it back my legal department has all decade to play with them." I gaped. "How much?" 200,000? I'll write those playbooks off. They're not worth that. Give it back and get your money." The smile slipped, his eyes locked on mine, deadly serious and utterly certain. Zoe, the playbook you drafted is worth 100, no, 1,000 times more than that 200 grand fee. I'll make you see exactly how much they're worth. Adrian hadn't lied. After I joined Hawthorne, our overlapping service lines meant my plans needed almost zero tweaking before they went live. That quarter, revenue doubled, smashing the company's all-time growth record. Following an open contest and anonymous ballot, I was promoted straight to General Manager of Marketing. A year later, my life and career were back on track. Just when I'd convinced myself Jason and I would never cross paths again, I stepped off the elevator one morning to find my assistant sprinting toward me, iPad clutched to her chest. "Dylan, the internet's blowing up." She didn't finish. A roar of chatter flooded the lobby. Even security couldn't hold back the tide of reporters brandishing cameras and mics. Jason cut through the chaos in a razor-sharp tux, dropped to one knee, and gazed up with soap opera sincerity. "I've bought every feed and front page in the country. Let the whole nation bear witness. Zoe, will you marry me?" My heart didn't flutter, only the corner of my mouth twitched into a cold smirk. "Jason, what makes you think the woman standing here today would still want to marry you?" He pulled out a phone he'd staged in advance and handed it over. On the screen scrolled every humiliating photo Lindsay had snapped that year in the Ravenwood bathroom stalls. My fingers curled so tight my knuckles bleached. But swipe further and the victim in the frames suddenly became Lindsay herself. Lindsay was always Lindsay. After I reported her to the school board, she transferred, changed her name, and paid for a new face. She clawed her way into your life as your best just to steal me. First she tried seduction. When that tanked, she threatened to leak these pics unless I dated her. I lost my head, obsessed with revenge on your behalf. I thought I could break her, then toss her into hell itself. I was an idiot. We've built 7 years together, give me one chance to make it right. Marry me, Zoe. Every syllable sounded more absurd than the last. He'd avenge me by using Lindsay, then kicking her to the curb. Had my love ballooned his ego so much he believed the universe revolved around his forgiveness? What ancient fog had blinded me to the fact that Jason was simply childish? But I'd already drawn my line in the sand. Mocking him further held zero appeal. Before the livestream lenses he'd summoned, I smiled calmly and lifted my right hand, 10 carats of diamond blazing. "Sorry, Mr. Sterling, I'm done playing. I already married someone else." At that moment Adrian, summoned by a frantic ping, strode in and locked an arm protectively around me. "Ms. Vance is now my wife. Harass her again or spin one sleazy headline, and every last outlet here will be buried in cease and desist papers." In the 12 months we'd steered Hawthorne together, the firm had clawed into the national top tier, and Adrian's own net worth had skyrocketed into the 10-digit club. When he spoke, people listened. The press had come hoping to crown Jason's reconciliation scoop. Seeing the door slam shut, they scattered like startled pigeons. Security jogged in, hoisted the dazed, hollow-eyed Jason, and escorted him out. Later, worn down by Adrian's relentless pleas, I finally relented to a vow renewal ceremony. On the grand stage, he slid the blue diamond, $10 million worth, onto my finger, bliss shining in his eyes. When he pulled me close, I felt his heartbeat kick into overdrive. "Zoe, I need to tell you a secret. That you've been crushing on me since Ravenwood." Adrian's mouth opened, but words failed. The secret he thought he'd buried so deep had already surfaced for me. In fact, the morning Jason crashed my office, his rant had glued scattered fragments of memory into one clear mural. Later, while tidying Adrian's study, I unearthed a stack of my high school photos. On the back of each he'd scrawled my name, the date he'd snapped it, and achingly shy confessions of unspoken longing. From that day I knew the timeline by heart. Back then Lindsay's first crush had been Adrian. When she realized he only watched me, she redirected her rage, turning her clique into my daily tormentors. Jason's whistleblowing forced her to transfer and rebrand as Lindsay. Then Adrian left for overseas, and the two of us missed our window for years. If Jason and Lindsay hadn't tangled themselves later, my devotion to Jason would have kept Adrian and me nothing but rivals forever. No wonder Adrian built Hawthorne on the same as Sterling, poaching clients and crushing metrics. Jealousy had fueled every move. Thank heaven, in the end, we didn't miss each other. I hugged Adrian tight and locked our future happiness safely in my arms. Thanks for listening to tonight's story. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? If you enjoyed, smash that like and share it with friends. We can't wait to read your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more. See you next episode.